in Tuscaloosa.
This is The Miller's Edge with Christian Miller, two-time national champion and team captain for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and former Carolina Panther, and his father, Corey Miller, the pastor of pain, a 9-year NFL veteran with the New York Giants and University of South Carolina Hall of Famer. This is The Miller's Edge.
And welcome into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Top 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you guys are having a great start to your day. It's a Talking Tuesday, so that means we've got a lot to talk about, but most importantly, that means we're looking forward to talking with you guys. 205-342-9904 is the number to the phone lines if you guys want to get in on the conversation. Another practice in the books this morning. Alabama hit the practice field. Another Shells practice. Looks like they'll probably end up getting into their first padded practice. I'm assuming, maybe tomorrow, something like that. I know they're really hitting the ground running because they are leading up to their first scrimmage this weekend, which will be exciting. So we're going to talk about some observations from practice today. Again, had a media viewing period before. I actually didn't make my way up there this morning, so I don't have anything specific from my end, but I'm going to look at it with you guys. We'll take a look at what the media posted this morning, kind of see if we can check out some observations. But there's plenty to talk about, especially because yesterday we talked a little bit about it on the show, but today we'll actually hear from it. Media day took place up there at the indoor facility. We heard about Ellis being up there, and from what I gathered, I don't think it was the drills like we were anticipating, which might be a good thing. It might have saved Ellis's hamstring, so probably a good thing they didn't have Ellis doing those drills. I did make my way up there. But it was a little too late when I got there. They were packing everything up. So I just missed you, Ellis, and any of our other listeners that were up there. So I hate that I missed it, but obviously got to take care of business. We had to do the show. But the good news is there's plenty of interviews from yesterday. Matter of fact, Roman Harper was making his rounds yesterday and heard him ask some really good questions to some of the guys. We've got plenty of interviews to choose from. Now, obviously, we don't anticipate getting to all of them. But what I will say is this. Maybe we'll do a little poll, and you guys here in the YouTube chat, or if you radio listeners want to drop an @ message and let me know who you guys want to hear from, because they had a number of players sitting down and available for the media, and all those videos are all uploaded. So I want to listen to some of them. We can even try to just skip through all of them as much as we can if you're going to just hear from specific guys. But to run down the list, I know I had it pulled up, but I can tell you off the top of my head, these are the guys you got to choose from in terms of who we're going to listen to, at least the first couple ones. You had Ryan Williams, you had Jam Miller, you had Damani Jackson, you had Quay Russaw, Bray Hubbard, Keon Sabb, Josh Cuevas, Jeremy Bernard, Parker Brailsford, LT Overton, and I want to say that might be it, at least according to Alabama's official YouTube page. Those are the ones they had uploaded. Now, I do know there's a few more interviews, and one specific one that I do want to dive into, for sure. And that was strength coach David Ballou. He had a number of things that he talked about. And in terms of like the sports science world, he had a lot of cool information to offer that I think you guys would really enjoy in terms of him breaking down, the specifics of how they do things, how they operate, how they go about the management of their guys, not just the weight room process, but how they anticipate that transferring over to the football field, how they can assess things like injury risk, deficiencies in certain area groups or guys that are more prone to soft tissue injury. My degree, my undergrad was, exercise science, with concentrations like nutrition and all that stuff. But then I had my master's in sport business management. So I love all that kind of stuff. It's really entertaining to me. And I think you guys would really enjoy it too. So I definitely want to dive into that one as well. But if there's any of the ones that you guys saw that you want me to play during the show, let me know. Again, the list of guys was, again, Bray Hubbard, Ryan Williams, Keon Sabb, Jam Miller, Quay Russaw, Parker Brailsford, Josh Cuevas, Jeremy Bernard, LT Overton, Damani Jackson. We don't really hear much from Damani. I'm actually good friends with him. Maybe we could play his interview. That would probably be a good one. He talks about the secondary, some of the young guys. Roman asked him a few good questions kind of about his journey, how he got here. So I think that could potentially be a good one. Quay Russo, I think if I had to pick one, I think I'd probably do that one because he talks about, the outside linebacker position, his development, stuff like that. I think that'd be good as well. James was very mature and he offered a lot of good insight as well. Then obviously Ryan Williams, people love hearing from him and he had some really good quotes on there as well. But anyway, those are the list of guys. If you guys have any, choices or, preferences when it comes to those, let me know and we'll definitely dive into those as well. In terms of some other things that have come up on our radar, some updates with, I guess the whole, it falls in line with the NIL type stuff. But this one was interesting, and I definitely want to maybe dive into this because this is a Talking Tuesday. This is a very interesting talking point. I would be curious what you guys think about this one. Allegedly, there's I want to say it's like some type of group. I don't know what you would necessarily call it, but it's like a players association. And allegedly they held a closed door meeting with 23 Power 4 GMs. And this took place in Nashville this past Sunday. And allegedly all 23 of those Power 4 GMs support a collective bargaining model. And that would end up also removing a portal window during the season and support performance-based incentives. That sounds more like the pros than anything I've heard or seen thus far. So I definitely want to dive into that a little bit, see what y'all's thoughts are on that. Because, that just feels like we're inching closer and closer. You talk about collective bargaining and guys being classified as, workers. And then you talk about performance-based incentives. That's definitely along the pro side of things. I don't know if you guys know how this works, but in the NFL, you can definitely make a lot of money. Actually, I don't know if a lot of people know this. You can make a lot of money performance-based and not necessarily things based off of, contracts. Like say when guys sign like contract extensions and they have clauses or things in their contract that say, all right, if you get, X amount of touchdowns, X amount of sacks, you get a bonus, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking player performance. And that is based on where you were drafted, right? So if a guy is like a late round draft pick or undrafted guy and ends up playing a lot of snaps, let's just say Shedeur Sanders, he was a late round pick. Say he ends up winning that starting job and he plays meaningful snaps, he would get like a bonus at the end of the year and he'd probably earn another $400,000 just because he was a late round guy and wasn't expected to play much, but he ends up getting compensated for that. Anyway, what I'm getting at is, the language they're talking about here, just it's getting more and more pro-based. And another thing that came up kind of along the lines of this, and you guys might get a kick out of this, there's allegedly many people that are starting to believe that we're eventually going to get to the point where the athletic programs and teams will be spun off from the schools into private entities. Almost basically, it's mainly like you could have owners of, Alabama football, because Alabama football no longer is technically connected to the University of Alabama. It's its own separate entity. I don't know, guys. I just saw that come up and it just kind of was it caught my attention. Definitely something that we could dive into a little bit different. So just have that on y'all's mind because it's definitely some interesting conversations that are being held. And I don't know. It had me thinking a little bit because basically college sports would be gone forever. At that point, it literally like combining those two things together. Yeah, goodbye to college sports. That being said, we do definitely need to talk a little bit about some Alabama football again. Practice being held this morning, another good one in the books. I personally wasn't there to, give you guys my personal updates, but what we're going to do is we're going to pull up the practice highlights, kind of take a look at some things and kind of see what's going on, see if we can pick up on anything from the media portion at least and talk about that as well. But again, 205-342-9904. It's a Talking Tuesday. Want to hear from you guys. I know you guys got plenty of questions and things that have come up. We've now gone 5 days, guys, through training camp. We're rolling. So I know you guys got some questions. We've been trying to break it down as good as possible. But there's always going to be some things that come up, especially after media days yesterday. I feel like you guys might have heard something come up that maybe, I don't know, has you questioned something? Ask me. See if I have an answer for you. Can't guarantee it, but definitely would try to do so. Let me remind you about our friends over at the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Support experts. Try before you buy, nothing to lose. Make sure you guys check them out right here, Midtown Village off of McFarland Boulevard. You can't miss them. Go check them out. They take great care of you like they take great care of me. And if you're not local, don't worry about it. They are nationwide. You can find them really all over the country, but just go to their website, goodfeet.com, type in your zip code, and they'll pull up the nearest location to you. You can also schedule an appointment right there on that website, but no worries, you don't have to do that. Walk-ins are welcome. Premium arch supports that are designed to eliminate and alleviate all types of pain. Just throw them in your shoes, and they get to work. They will knock out that pain for you. It all starts from the ground up, and that's your feet, so make sure you take care of them. Again, that is the Good Feet store. Improving the quality of people's lives 2 feet at a time. We got to hit our first time out. We come back, we get rolling right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet store, America's Arch Support Experts. We'll be right back. What's going on, guys? Let's see. Let's do a roll call. We don't ever do that, man. Let's do a roll call. Who's in here? Where are you listening from? Drop it in the chat. I'm just curious. And if you haven't already, guys, drop a like. That always helps us out, man. We appreciate that. Yeah, Kenji, what's going on? Good afternoon. Good morning for us here. Justin, what's up? Hey, I had a great idea for the name of the show like you discussed yesterday. Tide Takes, Tides Take. Are you saying for like the listeners, or are you saying for like a segment? Because we can do both. Come up with like a name for like a little segment on stuff. Good afternoon, Chris. What's going on? Oh, we got Charlotte in here. I mean, I'm sure you guys are, obviously aware. If I played for the Panthers, I lived in Charlotte, but yeah, man, love Charlotte. That's what's up. I don't want you to say too much info about where you live, but are you what part of Charlotte? You don't have to get too specific. I'm just curious. I know you got surrounding areas, Waxhaw, nice area. You got a little bit more towards Rock Hill area. I was over in like Uptown area, like right where everything was. It's a nice area, man. Really nice. Dwight, what's up? Phil's in ATL. Hi, Atlanta. What's up, man? How can they connect things with the sports science? That's a good question. I'll talk a little bit more about that too. They do a good job of connecting it, man. I remember when the new strength staff first got here, and I was just looking at some of their workouts. I was like, man, what the hell? I have never seen some of that stuff in my life. With Cochran, we used to do a lot of just, traditional Olympic lifts. Either one. I think that'd be good for a little segment for sure. Ellis, what's up? Roll Tide, Ellis. You didn't pull a hamstring tossing the football. It looked like, Ellis, I think the things that they were describing were like the drills or whatever they mentioned. I think that was more so just like tossing the football around. Valentine, got you. Oh, good deal, man. That's what's up. Matter of fact, I remember when I was in high school, I had to go up there for a soccer camp, I believe it was. Yeah. Hey, well, at least you got a lot of good pictures, Ellis. And autographs, I'm sure. Julian, Roll Tide, how are you? Finally made it back. Good to have you, Crystal. Oh, man. Wait, we got to decide on interview. Tennessee. All right, let's go. We got a whole South in here. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet store, America's Arch Support Experts. I know you guys were interested in a lot of things that we kind of threw out there in that first kind of opener, trying to figure out where do we start on this Talking Tuesday, because a number of things to talk about. But the sports science thing, I know that caught a lot of people's attention. I see who just made it? Somebody in the chat just asked about it. So why don't we start there? Because I definitely think that's a good spot, and I do want to listen to David Ballou talk, because he went into great depths about some of the stuff that they're able to do in that department and how it translates over on the football field. So right here, I imagine there's probably more to this. Maybe I know AL.com, I think, wrote an article on that. Now I'm just going to pull it up, but I guess maybe they're making you subscribe now. I thought it was a free service. Maybe not. I know we got David Ballou we can pull up. But anyway, in regards to that, so the reason it caught so much fire, there's a number of things. Number one, Coach Ballou had made a comment about, their approach after last season. And I think that's initially kind of what drew the attention of a lot of people because, look, he kept it a buck. And we'll hear exactly what he had to say. But to paraphrase, basically what he said was, look, after last season, he said he went to the team and he said, this is what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And if you want to be a part of that, cool. And if not, you can leave. Very bold words from him. And look, I'll be honest with you, man. It's kind of refreshing to hear that level of honesty, right? Intensity, especially coming from a guy like him. I'm sure you guys have heard this by now, but if you're not aware, I mean, football players, I mean, we spend majority of our time with the strength coaches in terms of the offseason, right? So, I mean, they are, they have an integral role in terms of, really getting to the team, relating to the team. That's why Coach Cochran was huge, right? Because he was such a large presence. We spent so much time with him. In the summers, the coaches aren't allowed to be around the guys like that, but the strength coaches can. So their role is huge, not just to, put weight on your back, not just to make you run sprints, but in terms of an influence. And I know we've talked about that over the years, were we able to really, replace the impact that Coach Cochran had, not from the weight room side of things, but from that motivational piece. And I think it was refreshing hearing Coach Ballou talk about this. And I know that he's definitely a motivational guy, definitely a little bit different in terms of Coach Cochran. I was about to say Scott Cochran, Coach Cochran getting tripped up, but they definitely have intensity, but they're like different types, right? But I think this was just kind of a nice preview of really, you look at, how he approached that. And he's saying, hey, if you don't like it, you can leave. And the fact that nobody left, I think to me, it shows you that the buy-in is really high. And guys, they accepted that challenge the right way. Guys with an immature mindset might hear that and be like, man, who the hell is this dude to tell me to leave? But nobody reacted like that. If anything, they accepted the challenge. And I think they understood that it probably is in their best interest if they want to have success because, look, sometimes you got to have the hard truth. And here's another thing he talked about. He mentioned that there were some conversations last year, right? There was, peer to peer, right? Peer to coach, coach to peer, like coach to coach. And sometimes those hard conversations, those hard truths are necessary. I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. From what I saw last year, I understand that it was, year one. But if I'm being completely transparent, I felt it was necessary. I felt that everybody, top to bottom, bottom to top, probably needed to kind of look in the mirror and assess what they were doing, how they're contributing. Were you being Coach Saban used to say this all the time? You're either an asset or a liability. If you're an asset, you bring something to the table. You're helping the team, right? You have a role, right? No matter how big or small that is, and you're doing a good job at it. You're a liability if you cost the team, right? You're risky. You always are just getting in something that's affecting others negatively. And so sometimes you got to have those conversations. Somebody's being a liability. They need to hear about it. You need to call them out. And it sounds like there was a lot of that. And let's hear it from him directly, right? Because he spoke on it in great length. So let's go ahead and do that. I gave you a quick little review of some of that stuff. Then he also dives into the specifics of the weight room and the stuff they're doing. But let's go ahead and hear from Coach Ballou. Let him explain it. Then we'll react to it. But here he is speaking to the media yesterday.
I say that. He had 800 pounds of grill on the bar. And then we put band tension. There's bands that we put on the bar. The whole reason we put bands on the bar is it's attacking the nervous system. We're trying to increase that rate of force development that we were talking about earlier. Okay, the bands almost like trigger the brain. I got to drive through a force from the ground a little bit more explosively. Anyway, long story short, band tension also adds weight to the bar. So at the top of the movement, the bands obviously it gets harder as it goes up. The bands. So yeah, at the top, and we can measure how much band tension is on there. It was close to 950 pounds when those two were doing it there at the end of summer. So that's what they're talking about.
Is that normal to see something like that?
Absolutely not. J.C. Latham's the only other one we've had to come close to that. J.C. Latham was a freak of nature too. But those two guys are special. They're physically special. But as I said before, and I told these guys, and I hope you guys put it out there. Unless you do it on a football field, it doesn't matter. And that's been the charge to them. This has got to transfer to the field, play after play, rep after rep. You got to be able to replicate it. And that's been the number one thing we're trying to hammer on. And that's what the important part, because it's in there. It's in there. God bless them, and they have a great work ethic. They're good dudes. But you got to be able to do it. You got to produce on the field and show it on the football field. That's the thing. With the mentality too.
YouTube Premium is ad-free YouTube and the YouTube Music app all together.
James had a great, phenomenal offseason, A+. If I was like grading our roster from off-season production, James Smith would be in the top 5. Not even so much. The physical numbers certainly have been great. His body composition, he's been on 9 pounds of league mass, but it's outside. It's the mentality, the consistency, the maturity that he's kind of, and just the intentionality he's come with the training. I couldn't be more happy with where he's at right now, mentality-wise, not just physical, but mentality-wise. And I really hope this kid plays like what I just saw from January to July. I hope he plays that way. And I just told him that before we started practice.
Mentality of the team. Tell me about this offseason, what you saw, what's different.
Yeah, I think the offseason, these guys, they got challenged. They got challenged in a lot of ways, but they were challenged on a day-to-day basis to where, things that happened last year that we weren't okay with, that we don't sleep well with. The only way to change that is not by words, it's by action. Consistent action. We always talk about the standard around here. Well, you got to be held accountable to that standard. You got to be okay when you are being held accountable to the standard. And you got to be coachable, and you got to be able to take it, and you got to be able to walk in those shoes and deal with tough stuff and deal with tough conversations and step back in the mirror and have a little self-reflection. And we were pretty aggressive in that. And there were confrontations, many of them. And some of those were much needed. And I think some of those made us better. And the confrontation between coaches to players and players to players and teammate to teammate. Well, the best part, there was two good indicators that told me where we're at. We basically start the offseason. This is how we're going to do things. If you don't want to be here, leave. And nobody left. But the other part was the teammate to teammate, confrontations that happened, trying to hold guys in the standard, was how those is much about the player development part.
Looked like you skipped ahead or something, but basically, I just wanted to stop that for a second and just kind of address what he just said in terms of holding people accountable, man. That was one thing, the teams that I played on, man, that was always crucial. Coach Saban always, similarly to what you've heard about Coach DeBoer and how he wants, the players to lead. I mean, that's always a good sign when you have that type of dynamic where the coaches, obviously, they're leading, in their way, but you got to have player-to-player accountability. I mean, it's imperative. If you don't have guys that can, really get on people and have the respect to be able to do that, because you got to be respected to do that. Not just anybody can go get on somebody. That it's not going to work out very well, but that always works well. And for us, we always had that. And one thing that made us so productive with that was, for example, the guys even at the top, they weren't afraid to take that criticism or, someone had to say, get on them about something. They were mature enough to be able to accept that. For example, Ruben was a vocal leader. He was, more than just a vocal leader. He was, an alpha, right? And our rule was jog all the way off the football field, not to, the white of the line. It was all the way off the football field. And if you didn't, the rule was you would turn your ass around. You'd have to run back off. Even if he was tired, and it wasn't often, but say he was real tired and he stopped a little short, we could tell him like, hey Ruben, I need my 5, I need my 10, you know what I mean? Like go back, and finish it. He wouldn't pitch a fit. He wouldn't go, who are you to tell me? No, that was the type of accountability that we had amongst each other. And I think when you establish that, your team is just so much better. And it sounds like that's what they're working towards. And it sounds like they're at a point, at least what he's describing, to where he's pleased with that. Because once you kind of because again, like that's why he said there was some confrontation, because it's going to happen naturally. Like especially when you go from when you don't have a whole bunch of that initially, sometimes it catches people off guard. They're not used to it. And some people are sensitive. They're like, yo, why is he coming at me all of a sudden? But it's like, no, he probably should have been coming at you because you weren't doing stuff the right way. And now he's holding you accountable. You better learn to figure it out. And it's a good sign because sometimes if that doesn't go well, that can linger and guys kind of feel salty and there's tension and guys don't respond the right way. But all we hear about is what? Togetherness. So that goes to show me the fact that he's saying, okay, we had a period where we had to hash it out. We had to figure everything out. We had to go at each other a little bit. And now they're at a point where all they talk about is how together they are and the collectiveness and the unity amongst the team. Sounds like they got through the hard part, and now it's established and people understand that. And I would argue that I've seen that. I mean, even at practice, hearing guys like Deontay Lawson and LT Wright, when they're coming off the field, I'm speaking of the same example. I mean, I heard those guys reinforcing that standard when I was at practice. Was it Sunday? Last time they're out there before today. I was hearing those guys, hey, jog all the way off, everybody out the field. You know what I mean? And those are signs of great leadership. And then also when you have guys actually responding and doing it, right, is one thing. Like, if I'm being honest, there's times last year I'd hear guys say, oh, jog all the way off. And then not everybody jogs all the way off, and then nobody really corrects it. This time around, I feel like people are responding a lot better. And that's really important. I think it goes a long way for a football team. It really does.
You're going to develop them as an athlete, how you're going to maximize genetic potential. So in our role in this is an education piece for the parents and the player. And we're fortunate here that the administration has invested a lot of money to the facilities here. And we got a lot of really cool things and a lot of people have, and we're able to do things that honestly some people can't. Don't have the staff to do it or the technology. So you see a very receptive, your parents, the recruiting parents, and the recruits themselves. You see a very receptive and very positive reaction, almost 100% of the time, to be honest with you. And but I think once they get in here and see it, it's like, oh wow, it opens up another part of their whole thought process and what development should look like.
You may have to help me work through this question, but when you look at depth.
Hold on. We got a quick little ad break. Now he's about to dive into a little bit more of the sports science side, I believe.
How does that make your job harder in a camp when you know that you got to get game ready, but you've also got to protect the injuries?
Yeah, I think it all has to come down to volume control and look, there's the first part of training camp that's going to be hard, and it needs to be hard. And it needs to be. We talk about tissue resilience and resiliency and almost callous in the body to be able to handle the season. All that is what we do in the off season. But then it becomes fun time to play football, where you're playing football 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours in practice. You can't replicate that in the weight room. You got to go play. So that the first part of training camp, you got to go hard in the body. You got to get out there and beat on each other, and you got to go do some hard work. You can't be afraid to push guys. Okay, but the back part of that, you do. That's why we have the GPS, the catapult, that tracks, player load, the high explosive yardage, their overall workload, all that stuff. There's many categories that we'll look at, and you'll go manage guys from here to there. But I'll tell you what, the way our coaches set up practice and the way they rotate players and as many guys that get reps in practice, it makes it a little easier because. You don't see a whole lot. Like we were going over data this morning. You don't even see a whole lot of guys that are overwhelmed. And you got to talk to the player, too, physically, where they're at. And our guys right now, we're sitting in a weekend, and I don't know how many practices we've had yet, but they feel great. Fresh. And we were out there playing fast yesterday, being physical. We had 2 physical days in a row. But there's a sports science piece where you got to keep on top of it. But there's another piece where they got to grind. They got to grind through stuff. They got to grind through hard stuff.
How rewarding is it, though, when you look at the strength conditioning numbers and you're running the data, as you said, and you go to a number and you're just like, oh, this is really impressive.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of cool. It's cool for us as a staff, but also the player, because we post everything. When whatever happens in the weight room from a power perspective, there's a leaderboard. They're ranked by position. It's up on the live screens as we're lifting, and it's up day to day on the TV screens through passing periods when they're going through the building. They know they'll look at it. And so there's an accountability piece to it for sure, but it is really cool when you see a guy PR. And our guys around here don't talk about power numbers. We rarely talk about pounds on the bar. It's all power numbers. So when they get a power PR, our guys are pretty jacked. And usually the whole room will know because they see it on the screen. And they can tell when a guy's PR. So it is fun. It is cool. And it's they get to see, a product of their hard work and consistency more than anything.
Who are the strongest guys on the team on that leaderboard?
I mean, if you were going pound for pound, which is probably the fair way to do it, right. Pound for pound, Quay, Russo is definitely one. And look, J-Rob and Proctor, no matter pound for pound or nothing, they're just strong human beings, and Parker too. But Quay's definitely would be up there. Jam Miller would be up there, no doubt about it. Some of our DBs are pretty damn impressive too. But those guys are probably the first ones to come off top on. Tim Keenan strong. Tim Keenan.
So he just named a number of guys in terms of pound for pound strong guys on the team. And Quay Bruce always, jumping off of the tongue when it comes to that conversation. Let's take a quick timeout, Chase. When we come back, we'll maybe conclude this. I know there's several minutes left, so we'll maybe just hear just a little bit more from that if you guys want. But we still got plenty of player interviews to dive into, plenty more to talk about. Plus, we got to get to the phone lines, 253-442-9904. I believe Marty from Arkansas is on the phone line, so we'll get to him as well after this quick timeout right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We'll be right back.
Are you receiving unemployment? Your benefits could be at risk. Here's how you can protect yourself and your benefits. Never respond to mail notifying you of a false claim in your name. Never answer a text message asking you to...
What do you like better? Heavyweight, lower reps, lower weight, higher reps, failure? Always, for me, heavyweight, lower reps. I like doing more strength training, building more mass. That's just kind of what I prefer, but I typically do. I say that, but I still always end up around like 10 to 12 reps at the time and still going heavy, which probably isn't the best, probably a little bit too much of a load, but I don't know. Sometimes, man, like six reps, unless I'm going like real heavy, I feel like 6, I'm not getting enough, which I know the science of it. If you're going really heavy, that's, actually right. But to me, I like kind of finding like that. I don't like saying a happy medium because like it's hard to explain, man. Like I'll even be doing heavy, but trying to go to like 10 or 12 reps because I just really like, those last couple sets were because like the first couple sets, like obviously it's, definitely, a decent amount. But then the last two, so I normally do 4 sets on everything. I do like 4 by 10, 4 by 12. But I guess maybe some people consider 10 reps lower. Roberts and Proctor on the freak list. Nah, I mean, those dudes are definitely powerhouses for sure, man. But like he said, the most important thing is it has to transfer over, I know a bunch of guys that could go lift a bunch of weight, but they get on the football field, man, they don't know, they don't translate. Those guys, I think it does, but, if they're that strong, bro, they should be throwing. I remember that was one thing about Proctor that I used to wish he would do more of. Just I didn't know how strong he was as a freshman, but I did know that he was a big dude. And I used to always say, man, he's got to utilize his size. And I'm not just saying like in the running game, but more so even like when he's in pass pro. You got a guy trying to use speed, and obviously you're struggling to keep up with them from that standpoint. Man, use your strength, man, and throw that dude, man. Like just push him by. You know what I mean? Like you're so strong, you should be able just to toss a dude. So you got to be able to have it translate. But everything I've heard from Coach Ballou, man, I love it. I love it. He's really great at what he does, honestly. But in terms of some of the other stuff, I know Fromm was curious. I mean, they literally – so the system that they have, they've got screens on the racks in the weight room, every single rack. I mean, this stuff is not cheap. There's probably – I don't know. I mean, if I had to guess, maybe like what looks like 20, 25 racks on each side. Everyone has a screen, and all those screens literally there's sensors around, cameras and sensors that are picking up velocity, like of the bar. And that's why he was talking about like they don't really go off of like maxes, like guys PR and like on the amount of weight because they do a lot of band work for resistance training, which adds a lot more technical weight at the top of the rep. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday. This is the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We're listening to Coach David Ballou, strength and conditioning coach. Had a number of great things that he talked about, man. I think really, from an off-the-field perspective, well, I should say from more of like the leadership perspective, he offered a lot of great insight in terms of pretty much having to come to Jesus moment with, player to player, coach to player, just inside out, outside in. And challenge the guys. So they're going to really attack this offseason, really, have a chip on their shoulder and go about it the right way. Said everybody responded the right way. Then in terms of sports science stuff, always really cool to give you guys that insight because, I don't think people understand nowadays, man, it's totally different. I mean, even from when I was here, which wasn't that long ago, but in terms of Olympic lifts, just traditional power clean, stuff like that, I mean, they still do some of that. But I'll give you an example. Like, one of the things that really caught my attention when they first got here and I was like training up here, they were doing something that it was such a dynamic exercise. They put like three things into one. It literally was like a jerk into a lunge into a box step up. And I was like, damn, my God, that's a lot. Like, Chase, I don't know if you know what I'm describing, but like, imagine taking the bar, right? And you do like the jerk action, right? And then you lunge into it, and then you have to step up with the bar, like on a box step up with the bar. And I was like, damn, that's a lot. But you just see like the different, measures in each of those exercises that, help influence and promote explosiveness, right? And I think he talks about this in a little bit, or he might have already, but he talked about the band work and how that, it really promotes that explosiveness. Because I mean, when you have a band on there, they use bands all the time. He uses like your nervous system, right? Is triggering that to really have to explode and get up out of there, because that band is you got, not only do you have weight, right? And we're not talking about just bands. I mean, these guys will have like 4 plates on the bar, then bands on there to add that resistance. The type of training that they do is really unique, and honestly, man, it's really good for sport specific exercises that should translate. Again, you have to go out there and do it, but the way they have it set up, it's made to translate to the football field, for sure. And yeah, they did mention Proctor, I believe, around like 1,000 pounds with the bands. And again, so that might mean he might have like 795 on the bar in weights. But then when you add the force from the bands, which he talks about this in a little bit, I believe, but they can measure that specifically. Yeah, ends up being about that, man, which is really impressive. So if you think about it, as he goes lower, there's less resistance. So when he's low, it's probably around like 800. As he goes up, it's like 900, 950, 1,000 once he gets to the top, because that's when the band is stretched, it completely, and obviously that creates the most tension on the bar. So sorry, I know that's kind of a lot, but that's in a nutshell what they're doing in that weight room. And then in terms of the speed side of things, they have what is it called, like a 1080 machine, I believe, and it's literally like you can you strap yourself onto it, or you strap like around your waist, and you can control like the tension on that. And it's like a resistance training type method, but it's all calculated. And it's literally, they have it connected to a computer. I mean, if you guys saw like the way they train nowadays, it's so different than probably what a lot of you guys imagine. Like when y'all used to just go in the weight room and just chalk your hands and throw 45, plates on, on a bar and just do, bench, squat, power clean. Like nowadays it's insane, but they can literally adjust the resistance from a technical standpoint. And it helps you drive your explosiveness, which then, when you take it off, I mean, you feel so much quicker, and that's how you really increase your acceleration, stuff like that. So they do so much, man. It's really impressive. But let's take a break from the sports science talk. That was really good stuff there. But let's take a break. Let's go to the phone lines, 205-342-9904. We got Marty up next. Marty, welcome in.
Hey, Christian. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Hey, Marty, real quick, because I know you've been asking, man, and I need to make this announcement. We're official. We'll be back at 12:25 this football season, Fridays. So make sure, I know you said you wanted to sit down and chat, and I think you wanted to have like a friendly wager for a hamburger or something. Well, there you go. We got the location set. We'll be back at 12:25, which you came last year. We got to hang out there. So same venue.
You gonna be there? You gonna be there the Friday before the Florida State game?
Before Florida State, I don't think we're planning on being there for that one since it's away. But the first home game, definitely will be their first home game.
Because I got to make a trip down there that weekend too. That's why. But I'll let you know, and I can meet you somewhere somehow or something.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Just wanted to give you that update on that. But yeah, 12:25. Home with the Miller's Edge when we got game days here, getting you guys kicked off the right way, man. So looking forward to it. But I wanted to get that to you because I do know you had asked about it. But what you got on your mind today?
Even if I don't got a football ticket, I'm going to come down and rub elbows with you and your dad. I wish your dad was here today because there's talking Tuesday, and I'm not talking. I'm not going to talk Alabama football. I got something to run by you, and then you.
No worries. Hey, listen. We can talk anything, brother. Trust me. There ain't no problem with that. Don't let any of our. I know we had that one call at one time, man. We're glad to talk other stuff. It's Talking Tuesday. What you got, Marty?
It's football related, but NFL related. Trey Lance will be a starting quarterback in the NFL by 2030.
By 2030, I mean, I wouldn't put that. I mean, and where's he at right now? Is he in San Diego or not? Or Los Angeles Chargers?
Back up for San Diego Chargers. Didn't you watch him throw that ball in the Hall of Fame game?
He looked good. No, he looked really good, man. I mean, you got to remember, this guy was. I mean, look, San Fran gave up how many, first round picks to get this guy? They obviously saw something in him, and so, and I remember watching him come out. He's a good player. Now, probably gave up a little bit too much for him, but. No, he's definitely talented. And sometimes, Marty, it takes guys just a little bit of time to kind of get their groove. Sometimes it's the organization, the system that they're in. It could be a number of things. I mean, I know I've used this example a couple of times, but again, they're two of my teammates. I mean, Baker Mayfield, right? Didn't have the best start to his career. Now he's found his footing down in Tampa, and he's playing some really good football. Sam Darnold, played with him with the Panthers, right? He was a really high he got taken really early in the NFL draft. Was Sam a number one pick? I mean, he was top pick for sure. But anyway, definitely didn't have the greatest start to his career. Now look at him. I mean, he just signed a big deal to go out to Seattle, where Jalen Milroe's behind him, learning from him. So, yeah, I don't think you're wrong, Marty. I think Trey Lance could have a similar type path if he ends up in the right spot. I mean, obviously, you look at where he's at with the Chargers. I mean, Justin Herbert's a young guy. I mean, I feel like he'll probably have to end up getting dealt yet another place. But if he keeps playing the way he's playing right now in the preseason, somebody in need of a quarterback, you know what I mean, or at least looking to have a backup that might have to step up because they're not too confident in their QB1, I think that could open the door for him to kind of have that turnaround in his career. I agree.
Well, the only reason I say that is like what you said. Look at Sam Darnold, and then went to Minnesota, and he parlayed that into a multi-million contract with the Seattle Seahawks. And look at Geno Smith. He didn't play for a decade. Then a coach gave him a chance at Seattle, and look what he's got now. So absolutely. I mean, and one thing that Trey Lance has got going for him, he was a number 3 pick out of the draft. Someone saw something in him to pick him that high.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, and that's why I was saying they not only that, they gave up like several first round picks just to get him. I'm trying to see what was Sam. Sam was the number 3 pick, so Sam also was the 3rd overall pick. I knew he was up there. Yeah, similar thing, man. I mean, with quarterbacks, sometimes really, I'm telling you, man, the system plays a huge role. Their development, sometimes them just not being in the right spot can really hurt their development. It just takes a little bit of time, but he's looking good right now. I'll say that, Marty. I mean, Trey Lance, and he's young too. I think he's probably 27, if that. Let me see. I had him pulled up. How old is he? Let me see. I don't know, but he's still young. He's got plenty of time. But 2030, that would be what, 5 years? I think you probably would win that belt. No, he's only 24, Marty. I think you might win that belt.
I'm not sure but see, you know what? He's 75% of the quarterbacks in the NFL right now are older than him.
True. Yeah. No, so, he's a young guy.
That's what. But I didn't mean to. But I'm glad. I'm happy that one coach said, either you turn in your thing or you're gonna play football the way we're supposed to practice. We're not going to do like we did last year. You either go hit the highway or you're on this team and you do it our way.
Absolutely.
And no one left.
You got to have that.
And that makes a champ. Hey, I know 2 state champ. That's what first thing he tells them when they come to practice the first day. He says, if you don't want to be here, leave, because I'm going to ride your butt, and it's 100 degrees out here, and it's rough, and we're here to win. We're here to play. We're not here to. It's a special activity. You don't have to do it, but you're here, and we're going to be a team. And that's what I liked about him in that interview. We're a team. And the weakest link is the last man on the team. And you pull him along and bring him up, it makes the whole team better.
Absolutely. You're right about that, man. You're right about that. That's why I'm glad we're able to hear from Coach Blue.
I'm excited about this right now. I haven't gone through all my picks yet. I'm doing it this week because I've been busy from 4 a.m. till midnight. So
Dang.
I've got a lot on my plate right now. So I just
No
got
worries.
done mucking stalls and I got to listen to you. But that's something we do too. We're on a dairy farm and we can muck the stalls, and then the two guys have to do the other, and we rotate it around. But that boss
Nice.
tells us too, it's not the easiest job in the world, but it has to be done. All right, Ron, Chris, have a good day. I wish your dad was here because I was going to ask your dad about that too, since he played in the NFL, how that works out. But
Yeah, well, just catch him next time. You can ask him. He claims he'll be on here more once the season starts. So we'll see if he ends up doing that. But that's his thing. He said once the season starts, he's planning on being here. So, but next time he's on here, you'll hear him and you can call and you can ask him.
Here I'm regular picking on Alabama, stirring that pot. That's why. But but hey, did you ever ask him he was in the Hall of Fame game?
Did I ever ask if he was ever in that game?
Yeah.
I don't think he has played in that. No, I could be wrong though.
All right, that's fine. All right, hey, have a rest of the day. I'll listen, but that was really good interview with him.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. We appreciate you, Marty. Good deal. All right, we got to hit time out. We come back. We keep on rolling on this Talking Tuesday. This is the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. See what we got here. We got some highlights from today. Well, that's one way to help. I think Jam in his interview was saying one of the things he wants to work on is making guys miss. I got a drop there. That was one interesting thing, throwing bags at their feet, making them make a move. Some offensive line work. Let me see. I'll turn the sound on during this break. You didn't use taggers and stuff? Let me see. Oh, I see Ellis. Look at Ellis. I like those picks, bro. I'm still getting used to this. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like the whole playing, from a mugged position on early downs. I'm still trying to get used to this. I know they've done this with like what they call like their vol package, where they put a wolf, but sometimes he's more mugged. Other times like 2 yards off the ball, and he's kind of just playing like the guard, right? Really just being a football player and kind of just going after it. It looks like half the time. I think they are reading like a guard. If it's like block 2, you obviously play front side away. You play off his butt in the B gap. But seeing these inside backers play like this, like mugged look on early downs, it's interesting. I think it's becoming more common too. But I don't know, football, man. It's always changing, but it's always interesting seeing stuff like this because I'm just not used to it, man. in my head, I'm just like, man, you get aggressive, and I'm sure maybe there's definitely a lot of pros in terms of, I guess run fits and stuff like that, being a little more aggressive against a run. But I just worry more so. I mean, you got so much RPO action, like you mugged up like that, brother. Both your backers are in a vulnerable spot. If somebody's just hitting quick slants behind you, man. I guess if you're not overdoing it, it's one thing, but I don't know. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of Miller's Edge, time 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Let's go back to the phone lines, why don't we? 205-342-9904. We got Ellis up next. Ellis, welcome in.
What's up, Christian?
Not much, man. I saw your pictures, brother. I like them, man. You had your, it was like an Alabama luau shirt or something like that. Real tropical.
Well, it's a shirt. That shirt has got like a picture of the stadium, got like picture of the football field, different things. It's got flowers on it. It's just something. I liked it. I seen it on a site, and I had to have it, so I bought it.
I liked it, man. So give us a rundown on yesterday, man. How'd it go? I see you tagged us in that post. You had a bunch of pictures with a bunch of different players. You got to take pictures with the trophies. Right? You had a bunch of stuff going on. How was it, man? Did you have a good time?
Oh, man, it was awesome.
Nice.
I was like a kid.
Yeah.
Well, they was all there. You could just walk up to them and talk to them.
Nice.
I didn't get no signatures because I forgot to bring a marker in, but just being there and being able to talk to them was just, it was amazing. I ain't never been able to do that.
That's awesome.
So, I get to talk to you, but,
always, yeah, man.
You know what?
Always, you're welcome.
Yeah, but going into a place that normally people off the street don't get to go to.
Oh, yeah. No, it looked like a cool experience for you guys for sure, man. I'm glad you got to do it. That definitely looked fun. I hate that you didn't get to really do a drill. I was really looking forward to that. It's all right. You know what?
They had some little small cones over to the side. I thought about asking one of them, but no, I said better not.
You know what, man? I went up there, but I got there. The show obviously ends at 1. I went up there right after, and they were already packing it up. But I was like, dang, man, if I was up there during it, best believe if we knew those cones were there, man, I would have put you at least the one little thing, something light, just so we could at least. Got you to do that, but no worries, man. Maybe what we'll do is we'll set up some cones at 12:25. Let you do some drills inside.
Yeah. Well, right beside the little cones, they had 3 stationary bikes that's got like the fan on it. So
nice.
You can warm up before you run out there.
Yeah, those are our injury bikes. So anytime the guys are banged up, that's that we used to spend our time on those bikes, man. We used to have. You know what's funny? People used to always think oh man, you get out of practice and if you're hurt, you're on the bike, right? Think it's just like an easy day. But when we were there, they used to make it hell. Like they used to have us doing like 30 on or like 60 on, 20 off, and just rinse and repeat. And I don't know if you guys have ever it wasn't just cruise. It was like full sprint on the bike. So it was like when you were on, they expected you to literally as fast as you could pedal. And when I tell you, man, I used to hate it. Yeah, those things.
It's right. I know you too.
Dude, and I'd be trying to push so hard, my head was going back and forth. And I used to get so dizzy. And I was like, man, I hate this. I want to be back at practice, man. I know it's hot as hell, but I almost would rather be practicing right now, man. This sucks.
They got right. It sounds like it sucked.
Yeah, it wasn't fun, man.
But yeah, it was just amazing. Get to meet all the players, and talk to them.
Anybody in specific stand out? Any of the players stand out to you in particular? Any of them that you had a conversation with or that you enjoyed being around?
Will Conformity and Caden Proctor.
Yeah, good dudes, man.
I told him I thought that was pretty awesome that he had a camp for kids. Will Conforme, he had that free camp for kids here recently.
Yeah.
And I told him, what I thought about that, how nice that was. And before we walked off, he goes, "Hey, thank you for mentioning that." So.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad you, man. It sounded like a really good time. I'm glad it went well.
Oh, it was. Ty Simpson, he's a good, but they all spoke, like their mindset was on one thing. No revenge or nothing like that. I mean, and every one of them I talked to was like that.
That's the right
I got
mindset
to see
to have, brother.
Blake Patrick Jr. I got the picture took with him.
Yeah, I saw that, man. You got a lot of good ones, man. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, good deal,
Sam
man.
Miller.
You got the whole roster. Sounds good. Well, look, next opportunity will probably be like Fan Day for people to kind of get, something similar. So if you guys are wanting that experience, man, make sure you guys check out Alabama, because that's what makes that opportunity possible.
Yeah, join it and you'll get to do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right. Ellis, we appreciate
I
you,
even
man.
thank Greg Burns on X yesterday evening, and this morning, and checked it, my messages, and he messaged me back.
Oh, dang. Well, good for that's nice, man. Good for him to do that, man. Getting back with you. Well, good deal. Ellis, we're about to hit this top of the hour break, man. Glad you have fun, and always good to hear from you, man.
All right, can't wait to see you down there and drink one of those tipsy elephants.
That's right, man. There's going to be plenty of tipsy elephants going around this year. Another year at 1225, man. Looking forward to it. Ellis, we appreciate you, brother.
All right, roll tide.
Yes, sir. Roll tide. Good deal. Top of the hour break. We'll be right back right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
WTBC Tuscaloosa.
All right, let's see. Any observations you guys got from practice footage? Anything stand out to you? I'll be honest with you, I wasn't paying too much attention. I was talking to Ellis. I was trying to pay attention to what he was saying. Yeah, Alabama does a lot of good stuff. Yeah, they've been doing a lot of good stuff recently. What should they do to replace A-Day game? I'll be honest with you, man. I feel like they should just kind of just keep it going. I mean, personally, I don't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I what was the whole thing? It was about like what transfer portal stuff. They didn't want people just kind of picking off their guys, watching on the TV copy or something. I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like around here, A-Day is always like a great tradition. I mean, it feels like a mini game. Obviously, it's not like a game, but like in the past, I mean, it felt kind of like a mini game, right? I just think from like a community standpoint, it's always fun. So I mean, personally, I think if it was me, I would just keep it going. I mean, I get if you're worried about people seeing this, that, or whatever, but at the end of the day, speaking of what QD had sent us, I mean, people want to know who you have. I mean, people are going to know what you have, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, they already did a lot of vanilla stuff, right? Like no one's going and putting out their full thing on display. But I don't know. I'll be honest with you. But to answer your question, if you're going to replace, I think what they did this past spring, I think was actually pretty solid in terms of like putting on like it really was like a fan day type practice. And I don't think it was bad at all. I think it allowed people to come and see the team, see guys. I mean, they did a couple of team things right at the end. I don't think that's bad, but the problem is, it's not televised. So all the people that are out of state that aren't local, they're, still missing out, But you'd rather scrimmage another team. Hell, my dad is definitely in favor of that. My dad, he definitely wants to, he mentioned that a while ago, matter of fact.
Upon request to individuals with disabilities. Dial 711 for TTY accessibility.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Support Experts. All right, hour number 2 officially underway. I know we got a couple of things to dive into that we mentioned. In terms of practice recap, it looks like, same old, right? Got another Shells practice. I don't think there was any major developments from today. I mean, from what I'm aware of. Again, I wasn't out there physically, but even just from what I've seen, looks like same type of deal. Now, I do believe the next practice they get into probably will be full pads, which really normally don't make too much of a difference because they still aren't, from my understanding, going live. They might have a live. Actually, you know what? I think they might actually do a live period every now and then. I don't know if it's every time they have full pads or what, but that might be the slight difference. But in terms of like the tempo, it's always going to be thud tempo. Nobody goes full padded, full tackle practices like that, unless you're in the stadium doing a scrimmage. Not just in the stadium, because they've actually scrimmaged right here on the practice fields. But unless you're doing a scrimmage, typically thud tempo. So only difference will be you just have some thigh and knee pads in. But that being said, if you guys have any questions or anything that stood out to you, again, we got the practice highlights playing on the screen right here. Be sure to drop those. I'd be glad to answer them. But in terms of me just having some new observations, I'll be honest with you. I don't think there's anything new other than some of the stuff we heard from yesterday's interviews that might be brought up. But I'll read a couple of these chat questions real quick. I know Fromm just mentioned that he thinks that could be a good way to generate some NIL revenue by scrimmaging another team in terms of like replacing A-Day. I agree with you. I mean, from that standpoint, I definitely think you could probably find a lot of ways to monetize that and benefit. Both teams actually would benefit, I'd imagine. But the problem is we already know the NCAA. They're going to find a way to hinder that, right? Matter of fact, Deion Sanders was in talks with it Syracuse, I believe it was, about trying to do that this past year, and the NCAA blocked it, right? So unfortunately, I don't see that happening. Now, if we get to the point where what I was talking about earlier in the show when we opened things up about, schools being, disconnected from their athletic programs, right? Maybe that would end up being possible. But personally, I don't know when that could come up, if that ever comes up. But for now, I don't see us having, like an exhibition game with another school. I think it would be, obviously there's pros and cons to it, just like there's, with everything else. Pros would be you get a good look against another quality opponent. Even though I'd argue, doing A-Day, you're getting a great look because you're going against the best in the country. And that's why my argument to my dad at that time, because he was saying, play a smaller school. But I was like, you get better reps going against your own team because you're much better competition than trying to scrimmage a UAB. But yeah, I don't know. I think you're right in terms of the NIL standpoint. You definitely could find ways to make some money off of that. What else we got in the chat before we dive back into stuff? Christian, have you been out at practice? What are your thoughts so far? And when's the first scrimmage? Yep, I've been out there. Today was probably the first day I didn't make it out there. First scrimmage, I believe, is this weekend. I don't have the exact day, but it's coming up here very shortly. And my overall thoughts, man, look, I'll say this, just from a practice standpoint, I think the tempo's there, right? And coach, it's funny, I think I mentioned this on the show, then literally Coach DeBoer ended up saying it in his interview, is that not having to worry about, where to go next, what drill is this, and then, year 2, everybody has a much better understanding of what's expected. That's, for their role. That goes for, the practice schedule, you know what I mean? Like everything, like how everything is done. And you can just sense that everybody has a much better understanding, coaches and players. Initial thoughts, though, I think there's been a lot of good balance, right? I've seen a lot of good, offensive reps, seen defense get some good reps, right? There's been a lot of back and forth, which you expect and probably what you want, right? You don't want one side kind of overdoing the other. I feel like it's been pretty balanced. I feel like in terms of the quarterbacks, I feel like all the quarterbacks seem to be doing a nice job. They all look to have, done a nice job this offseason and brought that into training camp. I've been talking about Keelan Russell, just how improved he looks in terms of his comfortability, his confidence, operating things. I mean, we all know the talent's there. I mean, you guys see the clips, right? I mean, the ball just rolls off his hand and it's got great zip on it, really good accuracy. But watching him, man, I'll just be honest with you, he just got that it factor, in my opinion, in terms of his vision, scanning the field. I mean, I've seen him, so many times. He's facing pressure, stepping up, keeping his eyes downfield, and he's like starting to roll out, and then just kind of dumping it, flicking it, just so smoothly, but it's so accurate. You know what I mean? That it stands out. That's not common with a lot of guys. Not all quarterbacks have that type of feel for things, and I feel like he just kind of has that. Where he's his vision is so good that, and his accuracy to go with it. He's going to be a really good football player. Now, I still believe, Ty's the vet, the most mature, has the most snaps. Fully believe it's his job to lose, but there's no denying that Keelan Russell is definitely probably got the highest ceiling in that room. And I mean, look, he could be on Ty's heels, throughout the year. But again, I think the quarterback spot is really important to have, confidence, experience, and all that, right? And I think Ty, I mean, there's no denying he's just as talented too. Now, obviously, I think again, Keelan Russell's potential and his ceiling's higher, but that's not to say Ty's, hasn't looked impressive. No, Ty's looked very impressive and has been doing a really nice job as well. And I think somebody also mentioned Mack in here. He's done well also, right? They all just kind of offer something a little bit different. You know what I mean? And I think Grubb had mentioned that too. They're all like kind of, they're all good in their own way. But I think the biggest, the easiest way to describe him is you got Ty, who's talented, seasoned guy, been around, has the most experience. Keelan is just, the talent is undeniable. He's still just kind of learning and developing. And then Austin Mack's kind of almost like a blend in terms of like, his ability, but also, he hadn't really played, but he's been in the system and you can see that growth from him. But it's been solid. Offensive line play, I feel like it's been solid. I feel like they've looked pretty physical so far through camp, which is good. Receivers, I mean, there's so much depth there. I mean, I've been impressed with those guys, but kind of expect that. Trying to think if there's any other initial thoughts. Secondary, I mean, there's a lot of movement there. I mean, there's a number of guys, a lot of good depth there. Mincy is a guy that I feel like is stepping up and looking really good. I know we talk a lot about Bray and Keon, but I think Mincy is definitely going to carve himself out a nice role. We saw that move. They had a move from corner to safety, and I think that's a good spot for him. He's clearly got the size for it, and he's looked really good there. Obviously, there's competition at Husky right now. Deshaun Jones, Drake Kirkpatrick Jr., and I think they even have Cam Calhoun working there, so that's probably a position to watch because two corner spots are solidified pretty much. ZB and Damani Jackson, DJ Lee, Dejon Lee, really turning heads. Obviously, he's going to be a guy that they probably feel confident enough to put out there if they need to, or situationally rotating in, whatever the case may be. I mentioned the safety spots. You kind of see, you know what you're getting there. Yeah, so I mean, secondary solid. Linebacker play, that's another thing I'm kind of looking forward to. Obviously, Deontay, cleared, but still, getting back in it. Kind of curious. Justin Jefferson, I think, is going to have a really good year. Honestly, I'm expecting big things from him. He's just so fast, so quick twitch, rangy, plays sideline to sideline, but he's physical. I mean, he's just like a missile, just flying around. I think in this drill, matter of fact, you're able to see just that lateral quickness. They're doing a drill where they're kind of evading the guard, right? You just see he just covers so much ground. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I think there's a lot of good stuff. I mean, I think the biggest things I'm really, I guess, paying attention to throughout camp, obviously, the different quarterbacks taking reps, but I would say the running game, who's stepping up in that running back room. because I know the running game to me is probably one of the most important things for this team this season. Obviously, that goes hand in hand with offensive line play. Definitely always keeping an eye out on that. Pass rush, who are going to be those guys that you can say, hey, man, we're calling this guy's number. We need a play. It's 3rd and long. It's crunch time in the game. We need somebody to make something happen. Who are the guys that, are going to step up? I'm definitely looking at that. And then linebacker play. Seeing how Hill Green kind of fits in there. Who's going to be kind of that 4th guy maybe that, you confidently, can put in there and he can work if he needs to. You never know, injuries, stuff like that can happen. But, yeah, that would be kind of like my overall analysis through camp. Yesterday I talked a good bit about the freshmen that have kind of caught my attention. I think Derek Meadows has really flashed with so much depth. I mean, I don't know. It's so hard to get all these guys reps, but he's been making a lot of plays out there. And Bakwe is another guy who's been making plays as well. Let's see. Oh, the 2 true freshman tackles. They've impressed me, right? For true freshman tackles, man. They've been really impressive. Michael Carroll is just a very physical guy. And, he might not necessarily be in there this year, but I fully expect, Michael Carroll is going to be one of the next good offense linemen to come out of Alabama, 100%. He has that vibe to him. Carson says Quay, James Smith beaming on breakout this year. Cavante Henry turns into a big product. Yeah, I think Quay is going to have a huge year. I think Quay is really going to take that next step. He was beat up last year and he already was showing promise and flashes. I think he builds off of that. He just looks a lot more explosive this year. I know he shed some weight. I think that's going to translate well for him. Obviously, he's the guy, right? Last year, he still had, Q Robinson. In terms of, the pass rush side of things, obviously Quay was kind of like their all-around guy, but now Quay is like the guy, right? They're going to expect him to do a lot. So I think he's going to take advantage of those. James Smith, they've been raving about his offseason, everything that he's been doing, the maturity. I think, matter of fact, I can try to pull it up, but he had an answer about, how he's matured. And, I think that's big for him. He's always had the talent, but one thing I used to talk about when I mentioned him last year was, he just had to put everything together, from the mental side of things, really understanding his role, what's expected, doing it at a high level. That was really important. And I feel like you can just sense the maturity. Matter of fact, I'll just play that real quick while we're speaking about him. This is what he had to say in terms of how he's seen a change in his attitude and mindset. This is coming from, I believe, Touchdown Alabama. This is what he had to say yesterday.
From as a freshman to now.
From a freshman to now? Yeah. A lot. Like everything. Attitude, mindset, physically, mentally, just everything. Like every year I got better at something, or almost better at everything. Like just try to be a better person. And it carries on to the field almost, like doing the right things off and on the field. It just helps in life, everyday life, really.
So a lot of maturity from him, man, and I think that is going to be big for him this upcoming season because he's always had the talent, man. Just having to put it all together. He was one of those guys, Freddie used to be getting on him because he's trying to get the most out of him. And I think he's finally kind of getting that point where he understands what is needed and expected in order to be able to go out there and do that on a consistent basis. So expecting big things from him. Then you mentioned Beeman. Yeah, Beeman is another guy we've been talking about. Is somebody who's going to probably step up. Just his size and just seeing him work, man. He's a very powerful guy, and I think he's going to be he's going to have a big role in that interior defensive line this upcoming season. So I'm excited about those guys and seeing how they can go out there and put it all together on the football field when it really matters. When we're under the big lights here in just a few short weeks, man, winding down. That being said, let's go ahead and hit another quick timeout. We come back, we keep on rolling. Talking Tuesday, number of things to get to still. Got some player interviews. We got one from Rico Scott, man. So much talk about him. Maybe we should hear from him himself. So probably do that when we come back right here on the Miller's Edge, Top 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Serving part-time in the Army National.
James reminds me of one of those dudes from around your time. Yeah, I mean, I can see. I mean, he's definitely got the talent. Like, I mean, 100%, man. Again, I think the biggest thing was really just, growing up a little bit, trying to figure out exactly, what he needed to do on a consistent basis. I mean, there's a lot of guys like that, man. I mean, play the number of guys, you know what I mean? Like, they just got to figure out exactly. I mean, because it's not just like, you can have all the talent in the world, but you got to understand, man, like your role, how to do things, why you're doing it a certain way. Then the biggest thing is going and doing it on a consistent basis, And I think he's finally kind of putting all that stuff together, which is really good, man. Really good. And I think that's going to be huge for him this season. I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick, guys. I'll be right back. I'll turn this sound on. And we're back on this Talking Tuesday edition of Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. If you guys want to talk a little bit, man, we're open on the phone lines, 205-342-9904. You can always drop your questions and comments here in the chat. We always stream live on YouTube, again, at the Miller's Edge. If you guys want to watch me do the show, watch us play the clips, all that good stuff, man, you guys know what to do at the Miller's Edge on YouTube, plus on the Facebook page, Tide 100.9 as well. And always, follow us on X as well. That way you can stay up to date with any updates, stuff like that. And you can always send us content or things like that that might come up that you want us to discuss. Let's see. For example, we got this Josh Pate clip that actually, let's go ahead and get to that because we were supposed to get to that yesterday and we didn't get a chance to. But I want to bring this up because it's got a lot of people talking, right? And that's because, Josh Pate has a model, I believe it is, and it predicts things like that. And I won't spoil it because I want to get to it, let you guys hear it. But long story short, the model had an interesting prediction. What it does is it gives like a best case scenario, like a predicted like average case scenario, a worst case scenario, and does it also do like a best case scenario? I can't remember. All I know is the worst case scenario was pretty bad, and then when I'm talking about, it was predicting Bama's schedule, and their predicted finish. But his model had a crazy prediction for that, and it has a lot of people ruffled, right? But I'd always urge you guys to remember, I mean, this is a computer model that just, literally, I think we're getting to a point where we rely a little too much on technology, right? Well, how about this? Speaking of Carson, because I think he's the one that mentioned this video. We'll get him on the phone lines real quick because I don't want to keep him waiting. But actually, this is what I'll do. I'll skip to the end of it where Josh Pate plays it. That way I'll let Carson respond, because Carson actually, I think he mentioned this video to us yesterday. So this is what I'll do. I'll play this clip real quick. I'll shorten it. That way we can hear from Carson, get his thoughts on it. But again, Josh Pate and his model was predicting Bama's, I guess, schedule. And this is what it had to say.
I don't know what to make of this game at Florida State week 1. That could be a 30-10 win. That could be a dogfight late in the fourth quarter, because no one, including fans in Tallahassee, knows what Florida State's going to be. I got Wisconsin on the schedule as well. So most years, that is a really, really beefed up out of conference slate. And it may be this year. It just happens that Florida State and Wisconsin were both down last year. There's no back-to-back road game on the schedule. There is really no bye advantage. They got to bye before Georgia. Georgia's got to bye before them. They got to bye before LSU. LSU's got to bye before them. I think the game at Missouri is, if there's going to be a trap on here, the biggest trap. They play Missouri after a trip to Georgia and then home against Vanderbilt. Then they go to Missouri, and meanwhile, Missouri's off. They're rested and ready to go. They got 7 games versus teams that we would classify as Tier 1 or Tier 2. Also, we get to see Kalen DeBoer's first trip to Auburn. It's always fun. All right, what do we think here? Let's pull up the model. The best case, the worst case, and the most likely per the model for Alabama. We got their best case being 11-1, and that's not really a shock. Yesterday's 12-0 is today's 11-1. Some of these top-end teams, even at their best, the model is going to say most likely your best path is 11-1. It's an SEC schedule. I mean, there's too much difficulty collectively there for you to navigate that thing. However, the worst case is 6-6. And we don't count injury. Like everyone could say, oh, if our quarterback goes down. No. I mean, with your quarterback, and it just doesn't pan out. He's an inconsistent average player. Your run game doesn't round into form, which we haven't talked a lot about, but it's only because I've beaten that drum all spring and most of the summer. Like, can Alabama run the ball? Well, what if you can't? What if that secondary is still prone to giving up big plays? Well, then 6-6 is there. And that would be a disaster. And you can imagine the headlines. The most likely record for Alabama, according to the model, is 9-3. That's where the model sees Alabama. That's not my prediction. I'll make my prediction a little bit later in August, but that's how we see it for Kalen DeBoer and the Tide heading into year 2.
So that was the video from Josh Pate. It's got a lot of Bama fans kind of, I guess, ruffled today because that number right there, 6-6, the model predicted could be the worst predicted to be the worst record that Alabama could have. Again, I don't know all the criteria that the model uses, but it says the most likely would be 9-3, which leads me to this question, because I know there was a lot of conversation about this. Say for whatever reason, again, I know a lot of people don't expect Alabama to finish 9-3. Actually, expect them to finish, better than that, right? Personally, I'm feeling more of like, 10-2 range, right? A lot of people might even lean towards, the best record case scenario that we see right there, 11-1. I think my dad, I don't think he necessarily said a number, but he did say, he has us, 1-2 with Texas, right? That being said, say, because football is football, right? I mean, especially nowadays, there's more parity than ever, right? Say Alabama did go 9-3 in year 2 under Kalen DeBoer, which, year 2 going 9-3 to me is not the end of the world, but I think here, with the Alabama standard and what fans expect, I think a lot of fans probably would be, probably in a little bit of a situation where they wouldn't know how to feel. Is that true? Would that be the case? Like if you guys did see another 9-3 on our record, how would you guys feel about that? I'm genuinely curious. again, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we finish better than that. I feel like we make the playoffs and we make a run. But hypothetically, say that did happen. I'm just curious how you guys would respond to that. 205-342-9904 is the number. We got Carson up next. Carson, welcome in.
Hey, Christian, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm great, bro. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just on my lunch break at work. Well, firstly, I want to say Ellis got a shout out on Twitter. Greg Byrne shouted Ellis out on Twitter.
Oh, no way. Did he?
Yeah. Greg Byrne retweeted it, Ellis's post about the Yay Alabama event yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I'm like, wait, that's Ellis. That's
Wait,
fun.
yeah, I'm looking at it now. You're exactly right. Yeah, right there.
I thought that was super cool. But
nice.
I'll respond to Josh Pate's video. I think he's pretty spot on. I actually liked his analysis on the quarterback play at the beginning of the video. I don't know. Did you play it already, or did you just play the end right there?
I just played the end right there because I was trying to hurry up and get to you on the phone lines. I can go back and play it though when we get off though. But you want to just kind of summarize it for him?
Yeah, just a little bit. I won't go into too much details, but he brought up quarterback play, and I thought it was spot on. I thought he was right about going from last year into this year, adding Ryan Grubb to the fold. I think last year there's no doubt that Jalen was up and down last year. And look, I'm a Jalen truther. I think Jalen's going to be a starter in the NFL one day. I think his trajectory is only up. But I do think that last year was kind of a mixed bag, especially play calling wise. You got a new staff, and I mean, look, Jalen's season the year before in Tommy Reese's offense was better than what it was in the Kalen DeVore's offense with Nick Sheridan calling plays. And I don't think I'm not a hater. I don't think it's all on Jalen. And I'm not one of those people who's like, well, Ty should have been the starter. Jalen couldn't do it. No, like I believe Ty will do well, but not because he's more talented than Jalen. I think it's all from a skill set standpoint. And you're not asking, like, I look back at last season and I see Jalen's downfalls. There were games where he was cold. I mean, if our offense was better, we win the Oklahoma game. Like there were games that, look, we had a game-winning drive to beat Tennessee. Jalen throws a pick. I mean, look, that's the game. Like that is what it is, and you know better than I. That's football. Like it happens. But I do think that there might not be as high of highs offensively this year, but I don't think there's going to be as low of lows either. I think we will be more consistent. And whether that's not because Ty Simpson is a better prospect or a better player than Jalen Milroe, I think that his skill set just lends itself to what Ryan Grubb wants to do. Just be a point guard, just get the ball to the guys that you need to get them to and be a playmaker when you have to be. And I think that's just vastly different than what you asked of Jalen Milroe. But going into the record prediction, I'll be bold. I think it's 11-1. I think it's 11-1, and I think if you want me to predict the loss, I don't think you'll be too happy about it, or fans won't be too happy about it. But I think it's Oklahoma at home.
Wow.
Yeah.
What made you go with that? So that indicates that you see there being a complete turnaround with the away games, right? Because remember last year that was kind of our struggle. That was our arch nemesis was playing on the road. So you feel like we handled that right, but then we drop one at home to Oklahoma.
Yes. I think, one, coming off of a bye week, Kalen DeVore has shown to be prepared. Look at it, like, I don't think that the reason why we won that Georgia game was because we were at home. I think that, look at the start of that game. I think that's preparation. That's just a good game plan. Now, it folded and Georgia struck back, but I also don't think that Gunnar Stockton has the ability to do what Carson Beck did in the passing game, to bring them back. So, with the deep shots and all of that stuff that got them back in the game, I think we go on the road and we beat Georgia. I also think getting LSU at home, they're going to have to show me. I think our defense would be too much for Garrett Nussmeier. I don't think that he's going to be able to stand in the pocket all day and deliver the way that his ability allows him to, because I don't think that their tackle positions, they got a lot of talent, but that defense hasn't proved it to me yet. And the offensive tackle spot hasn't proved it to me either. I think we just have too much for them. But when it comes to, and I just look at strategically where the bye weeks are placed, and I trust Kalen DeBoer out of a bye week to have the best game plan available. And also, we didn't lose back to back either. So I'm looking at it like South Carolina on the road. I get it; it's a scary game, but they got to show me, like they lost 6 starters on defense, and their safety, that being their safety and the defensive line production. I mean, what made them special last year was having Kennard and Dylan Stewart. They could have the best 2 players on the field at any given moment and still lose that game. Jalen Kilgore is a good player as well, and but they have to show me, and they got to put it together throughout the whole season for me to change my mind about that right now. I think we go on the road in Williams-Brice and beat them, but Oklahoma's tough because I think that they're slept on. People kind of write them off a little bit and don't think that they're going to get to where they're supposed to get. But a lot of their issues last year were injuries. I mean, they had, that through 10 games, they had 10 different offensive line iterations that they went out there with. That won't be the case this year. Wow. They bring in a real stud in John Mateer, but not only John Mateer, they bring in the offensive coordinator that was with him at Wazoo. So I just think if we could win that game, but their defense is going to be good. Brent Venables is a good defensive coordinator, good defensive mind. I think that's one of the reasons why it kept us in check last year. So I don't think that they're going to fall off defensively, and I think their offense is just going to have a ton more continuity, barring injury. I think that's a scary game for us. Everybody else, I think, will handle.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I do think Oklahoma will definitely be solid. My thing is, I agree. To me, when I look at us matching up with Georgia, going off the quarterback situation, I mean, to be determined if they'll be able to actually establish their running game like I know they want to, which I think is imperative for them this year, especially given that quarterback change. I think their defense is going to be good as you typically expect from them. Maybe not the same level of dominance, you know what I mean, but still a very sound unit, especially being coached up by Kirby. I mean, you know what you're getting out of a Kirby Smart defense. That being said, I do agree. I feel like we match up relatively well with Georgia. Going on the road, it's not going to be easy knowing Kirby's going to have those guys, trying to, get off the leash, right? Especially given how things went last year and really just the last couple of years. But that team's playing, it comes down to the refresh. Hold on. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we're here, Christian.
Okay, sorry. My signal went out for a second. It was really weird. That being said, I feel like, Kirby's going to have those guys ready to go. I mean, we've gotten the better half of them the last couple of years, but I do know when you got these, good teams playing each other, it comes down to, little details, small plays here and there throughout the game that really end up really kind of being that deciding factor. We always said, don't let one play decide the game. That's not really true. It's always a collection of plays throughout the game, but still we do know there's going to be a few plays that are more important than others. That being said, we didn't do the best of that last year. And that's one thing that I need to see better this year. And I will say, with that being said, I could say you never know what could happen playing at Georgia, LSU, South Carolina, even though we should win those games. You look at Vanderbilt, I saw somebody type them in the comments saying they had a good game plan. I mean, the fact that they executed that game plan against us, I mean, it just goes to show you, man, like even some of the games that you feel like you should win, they're not just gimmies. Not anymore, at least in today's college football. And it's not just us, it's really across the board. I mean, even look at Georgia. I mean,
Everybody.
they had close games. They almost lost to Kentucky last year. I mean, they almost lost, and they did lose some games that they probably should, so I don't know if I could, right. And I don't know if I can confidently say, oh, I fully expect us to just go 11-1. I think, listen, no, I'll say it like this. Do I feel like we have the pieces to do it? Yes. But I just know where we're at with college football, and I feel like 11-1 nowadays is like literally about as good as it gets. I mean, the 12-0s, I think you can kiss those goodbye. I mean, unless you're Clemson and you're playing in a cupcake conference,
right?
So, but again, we'll have to see. But I think what it boils down to for me is if they can clean up those small details, and then in those big moments, you know what I mean, like they going on the road, the penalties, we still have to. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, but the stats from last year, I think penalty wise, we still were like 100 and something in terms of penalty.
Yeah, it's been bad.
Yeah, so that alone will be huge, going into this year. So that's interesting though. So you got Oklahoma, and the rest, you feel good about, but who knows, man? The thing is, nobody knows. Right? I wish we knew. Like God knows, but in terms of any of us, we don't. Right. I wish we did, but it's going to be interesting though.
Providing some juice. I just want to provide some juice going into the season.
Right. Hey, no, I'm with you, brother. I'll say this: if that happens, I mean, 11-1, nobody's complaining about that. I don't know, man. I just don't know if I see us completely turning around and being perfect on the road.
Right. It's tough. It's tough.
That's tough, but who knows though? Who knows? We'll see though. Like I said, man, my thing is I'm realistic, right? I'm not saying, I don't know, we need to go undefeated every year. As long as we are in a playoff contention every year, right? Whether we lose 1 game, 2 games, whatever, as long as we're in the playoff picture and we're making, consistent pushes, man, I think that's about really all you can ask for. And that's why I asked the question about the whole 9-3 thing, because I'm just curious how fans would respond to that. I mean, you just never know what can happen.
If we get in the playoffs, if we get in the playoff, I think it's all fine. I think of it, how it looks too. If our 9-3 comes from Georgia, LSU, and South Carolina, and we win all the rest of the games, I don't think people would be terribly mad at it, even though you didn't win a big game. But if it's Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, and Tennessee, I think that it just looks different, right?
Right.
So
that's a good point. Hey, we just need to beat. I know one thing: we better beat Tennessee this year. I don't want to hear from that fan base right now. Brother could do without that
this year.
It better be.
It's done.
It looks like on paper, it definitely feels that way for sure. Hopefully, that's what we see. Carson, we appreciate you, brother.
Of course, man. Thank you for taking my call, buddy.
Always, man. Take care. Good deal. All right, we got to hit timeout. We come back. We keep on rolling on this Talking Tuesday. We got Wayne. We got Pat. I see you guys. We're coming to you after this quick timeout right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC. Let's see what we got. Probably see a bunch of 10-2 teams again. Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of, the landscape that we're in. QD says he agrees with Carson. The OU game will be tough, but we'll put it out. We'll pull it out at home. 2 losses will come from either UGA, South Carolina, or the Barn. Oh, don't say that one, man. Even though I will say I don't think that's going to be a easy game by any stretch, man. Going on the road playing there. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'll be honest, man. Predicting the losses really just feels tough because you just don't know. I mean, I agree. OU definitely will probably be an interesting one. It's just I don't know why I'm having this feeling, but like South Carolina and Georgia, those two that initially I kind of was like, man, those are going to be, I'm starting to kind of like seeing how we match up with them. Like the more I'm learning about them going into this year, I'm kind of like feeling a little bit better. You know what I mean? About those matchups, but still, you just know the challenges that come with going on the road, man. I mean, it's just the biggest thing about going on the road, man. Establish your running game. Don't be playing from behind. Be able to get off the field on 3rd down. you just know that environment is bound to cause some some issues, pre-snap stuff, just kind of some confusion. Got to be prepared for that because, again, all that leads to is being behind the sticks, and you're playing from behind. So that's why I say, guys, I mean, it's so hard to really predict this stuff because, games can go so interesting. I mean, even like when you watch a team, say like we're in week 7, we've had, 6 prior weeks to break down teams and talk about what we expect to happen and, game plan of said team and how we expect, us to counter and this and that. I mean, like we can have all that stuff, guys, but nobody can really predict exactly how things go, Crystal says, I'm still uneasy about the SC game. I'll be there. I'll be at the Oklahoma game too. Nice. Yeah, South Carolina will be interesting, man. It'll be interesting. I mean, I don't think they're as good as they were in terms of as a football team like last year, at least from a personnel standpoint, but great quarterback, an edge rusher that can really, disrupt the football game, really disrupt things up front, rowdy environment. I mean, that definitely is a tough scenario. That's right, from run the ball, man. Got to. Let me go back real quick while we're on break. He mentioned the earlier part in the video.
As a transition, maybe as a bridge player to Keelan Russell for normal fans. But see, people who follow recruiting hardcore remember Ty Simpson. Well, that's a former 5-star guy in his own right. And yes, he was. And yes, he could do some special things this year. So with that in mind, a lot more settled nature of Alabama football year 2 under Kalen DeBoer.
Oh, so you corporate types think you're rock stars?
That's as ridiculous as us being.
Biggest questions I have, first and foremost, by a mile. I'm going to put the prayer hands together. Offensive consistency. That bit them to me more last year than any other thing. Because there were times Jalen Milroe looked like a superstar. There were times Jalen Milroe looked completely inept. And
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Back to the phone lines we go. We got Wayne from Northport up next. Wayne, welcome in.
Well, hey, thanks for welcoming me in, Christian. How you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just got through listening to a segment on Sports Center with Heather Dinich. She thinks we're going to lose to Auburn and not make the playoff.
That would not go well with a lot of Alabama fans. So wait, she said losing to Auburn and not making the playoffs. So she had us losing other people too, not just Auburn, I'm assuming. But
I mean, she said our 3 road games that she saw was problems for South Carolina, Georgia, and Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
She thinks we're going to lose the Iron Bowl.
Wow.
I don't see it happening. I was on Ryan's show yesterday, and I told him I see one team that can beat us, and that's Georgia in the regular season. Now, past the regular season, I'm not making any predictions. Because, you get in the playoffs, the way the playoffs are structured these days, anything can happen.
Right. Yeah.
I think Georgia's the only team that I worry about having the personnel that we can't match up with.
Mm-hmm. I think personnel-wise, we should be fine. I think it's more so of a situation where you look at, Georgia, you always know they're going to have a stout defense, right? And then you talk about playing on the road, rowdy environment. You want to be able to run the football, something that really both us and them have struggled to do at a high level the last couple of years, at least in terms of our standards at doing that. You talk about going in that environment on the road at Georgia. You get into a situation where, your running game is not really there. Kirby and them, they're going to dial up some pressure. They're going to throw some things at you. Obviously, you expect a strong, stout defense on their part. See how you can get into a little bit of a pickle there and then be trying to play from behind, right? I mean, Yeah, I could see that, but at the same time, I think some of the challenges that they'll have offensively, I think, kind of could open some things up. I think it'd be a good matchup. In terms of Auburn, yeah, it's tough to say. They're bringing in a new quarterback who struggled at his last stop, but obviously he probably didn't have all the right pieces in place. I mean, they dealt with a lot of injuries last year. The guy's talented. We'll see how he's able to bring that over to Auburn. But I do know going on the road playing at Auburn, it's always tough. It's always tricky. So the good news is by the time you get to that point in the season, we'd have so much experience playing in road games that hopefully we'd be ready by that point to take on an environment like that. But, I don't see I can't remember Heather, I think you said her name was. I don't see her prediction, coming to fruition. But football is football. We'll definitely have to see. But I really feel confident that this team is going to take those next steps, Wayne. And I think we're going to see a better product. I mean, you look at last year with all the ups and downs that we had last year, the ebbs and flows, we still were able to go 9-3, right? And I'd imagine that this year we're going to be a better football team than we were last year. So it makes you believe that we should see something better than 9-3 if you go off of that. But to be fair, that's not really how it works. But you get my point. I think we'll be in good shape this season.
I think our running game with the backs needs to progress.
Absolutely.
Last we kind of relied on Jalen to do most of our running. I'd like to see our backs get more involved in the running game.
Absolutely. Especially bringing in a new quarterback. I know, Ty's had some reps here and there, but you got to be able to be balanced, right? The running game, it sets up play action pass. It sets up other things. It takes pressure off a quarterback, especially a newer quarterback. That way he's not having to be Superman and make every single throw. So you're 100% right. But, last year, and a lot of people think they blame Jalen for him being so involved, but they got to understand the coaching staff knew their personnel, they knew what they had, and they came to the conclusion that he was the most effective runner or one of the most effective runners. So that's why his number was getting called. I mean, that's the type of athlete that he was, right? And that was the right decision.
That's the type of athlete he was. We just used what we had. And I
Right.
think just backs need to get more involved, but I think that's what's going to happen. We'll talk to you soon, Christian. Have a good day.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Wayne. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Goodbye. All right. Good deal. I know we got Pat on there. Pat, welcome in.
I mean, from what I understand, why is it that people that are on drugs and things, why should they give them a microphone? Doesn't make any sense to me. They've got to be on drugs to make predictions like this, or that they fried their brain cells back in the 60s or something. I don't know. But that it doesn't make any sense, because what part of did they not understand the silk suits in Vegas have us the only game we're not favored in is a Georgia game? What part of that do they not understand? I'm talking all these people, these coaches and things. I mean, I know they on drugs, but because they had to be. I mean, how can they say that Alabama is ranked number 8? I mean, of course, this is a good thing. The coach doesn't have to put any bulletin board material up. He's got it. He's got loads of it right there, And I like being the hunter and not the hunted. What do you think, Christian?
I mean, I do agree with you in terms of sometimes, when you do have that underdog mindset, it allows you to just kind of play with that chip on your shoulder, not to worry about, your guys being a little, not saying like big headed, but you know what I mean? Sometimes, guys don't always handle that the right way. They hear all that praise and they kind of let it get to them, and they're not having that same work ethic versus if, they have that underdog mentality. That's why Kirby always does that. I know you guys have heard, those guys from Georgia, they'll talk about post game. Oh yeah, we were down at this and that. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? That's because Kirby and those guys were brainwashing them to the point where they thought they were underdogs. And really, I don't even think that was the case. But I agree with you there. But in terms of, coming in at number 8, Pat, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm not mad at it. We finished 9-4 last year, lost to Michigan in the bowl game. As much as we know about Ty and as confident as we are in him, from a national standpoint, I mean, anytime you have a new quarterback who's not really proven a whole bunch, that typically is not going to, go in the plus category. You get what I'm saying? So I think go ahead.
Georgia has one too.
True, they do.
Lots of teams have new quarterbacks in the SEC.
Yeah, no, they do.
And they can get ones to lose.
No, true, they do. But I think people are going to have their their perspective. To me, I don't think 8 is really that bad. I'm not really mad at it. I think based off of how we finished last year, I guess what they're looking at, we have moving forward. I mean, look, 8, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's a preseason poll. It's not going to mean too much once things really get in the swing of things. I was trying to pull it back up, so I had the list in front of me. Where was Georgia at?
Who's in focus? If everybody keeps winning, is the only thing that worries me. If everybody keeps winning to the end, because we don't play Texas until we get to the SEC championship. If then,
yeah.
Whenever the teams are ranked above you, that's not necessarily good either.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a joke. That's not right. Hold on, wait. Wait, oh, sorry, I'm trying to pull this. The actual. Okay, I think. Wait, is this the right one? Sorry, you got all these fake pages just posting stuff.
Yeah.
Texas 1, Ohio State 2, Penn State 3, Georgia 4, Notre Dame 5, Clemson 6, Oregon 7, Alabama 8, LSU 9. Yeah. Like I said, Pat, I mean, I'm not too mad at it. I mean, honestly, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we'll know more once we really get in the swing of it. I mean, who would you move around based off of that? Again, Texas 1, Ohio State 2, Penn State 3, Georgia 4, Notre Dame 5.
Oregon and Penn State don't belong ahead of us.
You put them behind us?
Yes. But now, just like you answered my question earlier, that I know you've been to practice so far. I'm sure you have been, that you're an alumni, and a member of the media. And I kind of feel that you answered my question. What you've seen so far, it looks like we have a puncher's chance for sure.
You're saying like overall?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this team definitely has, what it takes to definitely make a run. I mean, I look at all the pieces. I mean, really, again, I've talked about the question marks, but I think the biggest thing, really, man. I mean, it's from a personnel standpoint. I think we have plenty, right? I mean, yes, there's some question marks like everybody else, but I think the biggest thing is really kind of like what I was talking about with Carson, man. I mean, to be determined is how are we going to respond in these big moments? How are we going to? It's like the little details, right? I mean, if you go back and watch the season, I mean, don't just get caught up on a record. Go back and actually watch. I mean, the South Carolina game, right? I mean, there were some blunders in that game, and really, it's a blessing that we didn't lose that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, we know about Oklahoma. We know about the Tennessee and the Vanderbilt. But what I'm saying, Pat, is I think from a coaching perspective, if we can actually go and clean those things up, you know what I mean? Like, and make sure our guys are playing and executing all the little details, right? I think that'll go a long way for us this season. I don't know. That's why I keep saying I don't think it's so much about who's taking the snaps at quarterback. Right? That's why I keep saying I think establishing a running game, being consistent there, cleaning up the little details, not having mental errors here and there, not having penalties pop up in critical moments. Even go back and watch Vanderbilt. Like, people forget these things as time goes on, but I mean, there was times that what was it? Vanderbilt continue their drive. We had a penalty on special teams. They get the ball right back, I believe it was. Like little things like that. South Carolina, whether there's different moments in the game where even at the end of the game, like they almost had a chance to win it, right? I mean, like those little things just have to be cleaned up and have to be done better. Then last but not least, playing on the road. We got to play better on the road. All of our losses came on the road last year. If you can clean up those details, I don't even think the personnel is the biggest thing. The personnel will take care of itself. Those, to me, are probably even better, I guess, indicators of how the season will go, which I would imagine year 2 under this coaching staff, without a doubt, those little details should be better.
Yeah. Well, from the outside backer and defensive end type positions that you played, are you not worried about our tackles being able to keep tie upright? I'm more worried about our tackles keeping tie upright. I'm not worried about the interior offensive line. I'm worried about the tackles across the board.
No, I definitely still think, pass pro is going to be something that needs to be cleaned up. I've been saying that. I mean, again, that's why when I see PFF and these people rank us as like the number one, respectfully, I'm with Caden Proctor, and he said it himself at SEC Media Days. It sounds good, but they have to go out there and prove it. And I'm with them, right? Because over the last couple of seasons, it just hadn't really been up to the standard. And I think they've got the potential, but they have to put it all together, right? And I think if they can do that, we should be okay. And then again, even more reason why the whoever's at quarterback, again, I always say this: it don't matter if you put Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady in his prime, Joe Montana. If they don't have good protection up front, they can't be the best player that they need to be. Hence why Bryce Young probably didn't win a national championship. That might be a hot take, but just think about it. Think about Bryce Young in 2022. Bryce Young was doing all he could. He was a magician, but who wasn't really doing the best that they could? The offensive line was struggling. You get what I'm saying, Pat? So I agree with you. That's going to be important, that we can block better and keep whoever it is taking the snaps clean. I agree.
Both tackles improvement. If we get both tackles to grade out in the upper 90s, we're gonna be all right. I think we're gonna. I see us going all the way and winning the title. But this team has the players to do it. It's not wait the next year. It's do it this year.
That's right.
And hey, in the future, we've got a quarterback coming up that my son says is a generational quarterback. I'm talking about that young man from Texas, and so we'll see. Future's bright, but I want to win this year. I don't want to win in the future. I want to win now. I'm one of them Alabama fans. Let's win now, Christian.
I'm with you. I think we all feel that way, and we'll see if we can make it happen. Pat, we appreciate you, brother.
Have a blessed one, sir. Thank you.
You too. Appreciate everybody. We got to run. We got T-Town Sports Daily coming up next right here, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.